Okay, this video is going to go along with Chapter 9, Section 1. I'm going to start talking about payroll here. The first section talks about how to compute annual salary, monthly salary, weekly, and so on. Most of this is pretty straightforward. Annual salary is $15,000. Well, monthly, you simply divide your annual divided by 12. So that's pretty straightforward. So to get your monthly. Semi-monthly then would be half of that. So again, you're just going to divide that by 2 in order to get your semi-monthly. Now, you notice that semi-monthly and bi-weekly you would think would be the same, but you have to remember though that there are 52 weeks in a year, and a month is more than 4 weeks. So that's why the numbers aren't quite the same. So in order to get your weekly salary and bi-weekly, you would take your annual salary divided by 52 to get your weekly, and then double the weekly to get the semi-weekly or bi-weekly. Okay, so bi-weekly is twice, so 2. Bicycle 2, so every 2 weeks, so it's twice the weekly number. So in problem number 2 then, for our math part of this, we have an annual salary of $42,200. So we would just simply take that. So we have, I'm going to put it on the calculator here, so we would have 44200. We're going to divide that by 12. So we would get 3. That would be your monthly. Okay? And if we take half of that, so we would just simply divide by 2 then, and that would be your semi-monthly. So those are pretty straightforward. Okay? So then in order to get your weekly though, you've got to come back here to your annual salary. So you go 44200, and you're going to divide by 52 to get your weekly salary. And then you would times that by 2 to get your bi-weekly salary. Okay? So that's how we do those. Keep those going straight across. So I wanted to do problem 6 because it's a little bit tricky in the sense that they only give you bi-weekly and you have to figure everything else. So we have to kind of work backwards. Well, if the bi-weekly is this, what would be our weekly? So if we have 875, we're going to divide that by 2. So we'd have 437.50 each week. Because remember, bi-weekly is every 2 weeks. And so this weekly would be 1 week. So then we have to go figure out how the annual salary. So we would times that then by 52, right? So our annual salary, $22,750. Well, then to get our monthly, we would simply divide that by 12. And to get semi-monthly, we would divide that right by 2. Okay? Because 91 is going to round up. Okay? Pretty straightforward on that. Okay? The next section is talking about how to compute overtime and for pay. So 13 and 14, I use those examples out of the text there. Total up the number of hours, 36, times your hourly rate. It's just a multiplication problem, and you get your regular pay. Well, what if you have more than your normal 40-hour work week? Well, if we add these up, 6, 9, 15, 20, 28, 38, 45. So we have 45 hours there. So we have 40 hours at your regular rate of pay, and the overtime hours would be 5, okay, because you've got 40 of regular plus the 5 over. So we have 2 rates of pay. So we would have 40 times 950, and then time and a half, because you get time and a half, so 9.5 times 1.5, so the time and the 0.5 is the half, right? So you're going to get 5 hours times 14.25. Okay? So time and a half is going to be times 1.5. So your time is the 1, half is the 0.5, times whatever your rate of pay is. Now it's just calculator then. So we have 5 hours times 14.25. So we have 71.25 in overtime, and our regular pay, times 9.5 is 380. And we would just add those up. Okay? So that would be his total pay then for the week or time period. Okay? Another way to calculate pay, though, is you do it by what they call the piecemeal. You get a certain amount per piece. And they have a couple of examples in the book, but I went ahead and would like to show you number 20 here, where they have 174 garments, and you get a different rate of pay for each level of garments you produce. So the first 50 out of 174, you're going to get $3.60 per garment. For the next 50, because he did 174 here, he's going to get $4.25. Okay, and so that takes you up to 100. He's got 174. So the next 50, because we're in 50 lots here, it's going to get $4.50. And for the last 24, they're going to get $5.10. And all you would do then is to just simply multiply each one of those straight across, and you get your numbers here. Clicks off on me here. So your 50 times 3.6 equals 180 for that first group. 50 times 4.25, 2.5, and then you have 50 times your 4.5, 225, and then your last 24 is at 5.1 or 510. Okay, when you add that up, you would have then $739.90. Okay, so it's piecemeal. Just each part then is given a different rate, and you just have to decide, okay, that first 50 out of the 174, just keep counting and keeping track of how many are left at each level, and I think you should be pretty straightforward on those. One of the word problems I'd like to go over then, I've selected 24 because it's an incremental commission problem. She's paid one rate for the first amount. It's kind of like what we did with the garments here. She's paid 2.6 on the first 60,000 of her commissions, and then she's paid 3.4 on anything over the 60. And if her sale volume is 89.4, so that first 60 then, so let's subtract that first 60,000 out of there, she's left with 29.4. Okay, and she gets 3.4% for that. We'll change that over to a decimal, right? Because we're going to multiply here. And she gets 2.6 on that first 60. Okay, see how that's working? So if she gets the first 60, 2.6, change to a decimal because we're going to multiply here in a second. And then anything over the 60, so we had to subtract that out, right? To get the amount that was over, that she gets an additional bonus because she's been working hard. Okay, and then we just simply multiply those two numbers through, and we would get then, now we can do it on the calculator, I guess, as long as it comes through here. So we have 0.34 times 29400, so that the commission, the extra bonus then is 999.60 on her first. Have those all up there. So we got 69,524 5960. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. Just have to go slow and easy, read through the problem carefully so you know exactly what they're looking for and the information they gave you, and I think you'll be just fine.